Okay, guys. Hello. I'm here with the beautiful Rayna, and we're going to discuss some pretty incredible results that she has gotten in our program and her experience going through what I teach, applying it, and just getting some really cool results. So before we dive into that, Rayna, I first want to just have you introduce yourself. Who are you, and specifically, what do you sell, and what is your high ticket offer?
So, hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Rayna, and I am a rage recovery coach. I'm also many things. I'm a highly creative person. I'm a television chef and a punk musician and a speaker and a writer. But my focus is on emotional transformation to bring people from a state of secret, chronic, destructive, shameful rage that also travels with all its friends, depression, anxiety, unworthiness, unlovability, invisibility, not good enoughness. They all go with self criticism, self loathing. It's a big party on the dark side.
Yes.
And I help them transmute those feelings very quickly because those feelings are the ones that are destroying their relationships with their partners, spouses, loved ones, family, kids, with their career, with their health, with money, with their life. And I've been there. I've walked that line, and it is very lonely, it is very scary. It's one of the most terrifying and least understood emotions.
Yeah. And I remember our first conversation, and one of the first things that you said was, I believe in my work so much, so much. You're so confident in what you do. You believe in it wholeheartedly. You know that you can help people. You know you can help people have that same transformation that you had. And so what specifically, so your offer is one-to-one coaching. It's private. It's a one-to-one coaching right now, currently, correct? Or no, actually,
It's a group program.
yeah.
It's a small group program, and there is something very powerful and specific. I have done one-to-one coaching, and I love that specifically for its own reasons. There's something very powerful about the group, specifically because the topic that I deal with is so isolating and so lonely, and it takes a big act of courage and vulnerability for the person to first, right, connect with me and be able to open up to me, and then slowly we, right, start integrating and reducing the shame and loneliness and isolation in a very safe group with others who are just like them.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most powerful things, because you think you're the only one who suffers.
Mhm.
And on my calls with people, even before I invite them to the program, this happens inevitably. This is how I know someone's a good fit.
Right.
It's because it's like a mind reading process. They're like, nobody has ever, I've never said any of these thoughts to anyone. It's like you're in my head, reading my mind, my every deepest, darkest thought. How are you in there? And I always tell them to bring Kleenex because there will be tears. But they're the kind of relief, yeah, the release that they've been holding on to so tightly, all the masks and everything. So I have just the one right now. I'm just working with the one offer. I'm so clear on not wanting to do anything other than this. So it's a highly specialized, right? It's a highly specialized field in a sense. At least the gift wrapping is.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember, I mean, your passion, this is the pattern with almost everybody that comes to me. They have this undeniable passion for what they do. They believe in their work, they believe in their offer. And so for you, what were the biggest problems you were facing before you joined the program?
It's funny you say belief, because one of the things that I struggled with the most,
Mhm.
right? I've gone through all of this on my own, but I also struggled with my own self belief,
Mhm.
right? It was a new thing, and it also felt very vulnerable. That if I'm going to go out and talk about this and how I've done it for myself, and now how I'm starting to do it for other people, but it's still that same secrecy, that same isolation, that same shame. I've come I mean, hurdled mountains, and I'm so far, right? We were talking earlier about this continuum, like, right? So I'll repeat it again, but like people who are here stuck in denial, right? Going round and round, like, I don't have a problem, la 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 la, or this is fine, this is how life has to be. I'm just going to suck it up and deal forever. Then they move along, thrashing about, trying to get help, trying to change, doing it themselves, unwilling to get help because of, right, it's stubborn, it's weak. There's all these kinds of limiting scripts and beliefs that we have about that. And then we eventually move along to, like, right, instead of clutching sand in our hands, we open our hands and realize we're standing on an infinite beach. And there's assistance available to us.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
So I've come a long way along the continuum. I have invested in myself tremendously.
Mhm.
Like, right, multi five figures have gone into this one when I was able to feel like I needed and wanted that love for
Mhm.
myself and that growth and expansion for myself.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
So you feel like, so the biggest problem for you was just you knew that you could help people, but it was just that little fear of, when I start telling my stories, that's a vulnerable thing to do. So
Yeah.
so your biggest problem was really just having somebody, I guess, in your corner that's, tells you, it's okay to be that vulnerable. It's okay. It'll still, you can still show people you're that authority. You can still potentially sell your work, your life's work. That was kind of the biggest problem for you?
Yeah, it felt scary. And the way that fear and lack of self-belief in this field, right? So I've solved it for myself, but when I came to you, and I'd just come out of a highly elite business coaching program, which has been amazing. Like, it's really helped me. And I thrashed about in there too, because I noticed one of the ways I manifest my fear is in indecision, right? So I get into overthinking, analysis paralysis. I'm just constantly switching. So I'm just on the, like, doing the new things over and over again. And I got very tired of doing that. And so I had to make a decision, and I needed somebody, like a good mommy, to help me rip the band-aid off. Literally, I mean, the inner child in me was terrified. I'm a mother of a young child, but we all, no matter what age we are or how experienced we are, you have coaches too, you have guidance too, you have mentorship too. And it does not lessen, in fact, it's the opposite. It doesn't lessen what you have to give, it increases it. So I've understood the value of good guidance. And I
Mhm.
knew I wanted someone in my corner for the next year, right? Whether or not it's like a week to, I know I had, just knowing that I had, somebody had my back, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
And on our first call, you said, all right, we're just going to rip the band-aid up. I need to hear that in somebody else's voice than my own,
yeah.
right? And I think of myself as an incredibly courageous person. I have done some really, I mean, I'm on, right, a 5 camera giant television production. Like, people are terrified of that. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go be on TV. That's fine. But I couldn't speak about this thing that was so personal to me.
Yeah.
But that's how we know it's meaningful too. And immediately the kinds of conversations learned from that, first you said rip the band-aid off, and making the commitment outside of myself, articulating it to you, to another human being who's not just me in the mirror, and saying, I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
And I did it. And it's never as bad as it seems. And everyone you love does not immediately abandon you or send you hate mail and dog poop, right? It just, but all of those fears, right? I got incredible amounts of support actually from people who said I had no idea. People their whole life who've looked up to me, right? Or they've seen the outside, they've seen some aspects of me, but they don't know the full story.
Yeah.
And so the permission to start telling all aspects of my story, and I have a lot of shadow stories, right? And I come across as like a twinkly light person. I'm a really fun person to be with. But I've also, I mean, it comes from the lightness, comes from the heaviness, from the darkness, and the permission to start openly talking about the darkness
Mhm.
had the opposite effect than what I thought. Instead of rejection and abandonment and hatred, I got compassion, I got reflection from others. Others felt seen. I mean, the kinds of private message conversations that one post opened up is unbelievable. From people I've known my whole life, but I didn't know that they struggled with things, to complete strangers. I mean, my DMs were just blowing up. Like, I'm like, I can't even keep up. And because it's such a private thing, these are not even the people that comment on the post. And this is something, everyone who's listening, I want you to remember, you don't know who's reading, what impact it's having, right? Just because, don't get stuck on the vanity metrics of how many likes or how many whatever thumbs up and hearts that you got. Even comments, at least for someone like me, the field that I work in, right? It's the scariest thing to out yourself. It was terrifying for me, and this is what I do.
Yep, yep. And thank you for touching on that. We'll expand on this in a moment, but Rayna made her first two story posts, correct me if I'm wrong, Rayna, but her first two story posts and signed two clients into her brand new group program. This one that she's
In
talking about.
48 hours.
In 48 hours. Two
In
clients, 48
48
hours.
hours.
Like,
One of whom is in a foreign country, has actually, both have no income currently coming in. They're housed, they're clothed, they're not on the street. But this is just to say, people will manifest the money and the time if it's positioned in a way, and if they understand, simply if they understand the value and the importance of the transformation that you're offering. And I was able to do that by ripping off my band-aid and showing
telling your
the
story.
real full me, telling my story.
Yeah.
That's all it took.
Yep, yep. And it gets to be that simple. That is, see, this is, I could talk about this all day long, but that's the true power of story. It's not about airing out your dirty laundry. It's not about, poor me, sad me, let me just tell everybody all the dark parts of my life. It's actually showing the right people, your ideal clients who are ready to go, ready to pay you. It's showing them that, hey, I've been there, but now I'm here and I get it. And I'm the person to help you. And that's exactly what you did. I mean, 48 hours, like
48 hours.
brand new program, your new coach. I mean, it gets to be that fast and it happens that quickly when you really do share your stories from a point of, let me show them what's possible. And that's exactly what you did. You did the work. You came in though. You get a lot of credit for this, obviously, because you came in, you did the work, you showed up, and this is what happened. So my next question for you though would be, why did you choose this program over any other program?
I'll be honest, I was not looking. I did not think I was looking for another program. Like I said, I just came out. I was a couple months out of this pretty high, like another high ticket business coaching program, which was my first at that level. And I'm not the kind of person, this is actually great. It's a great question because I'm not the kind of person, my journey hasn't been, right? I haven't taken a million coaching courses, or right. I haven't been through the whole course laundromat as much. I've had like one coach a few years ago. It was like 4 sessions with somebody. And then a little bit after that, I had one other like slightly higher offer than that, but nothing like what I've done in these last 6 months. And I went straight for the big time. When I made the decision, I went straight for the big time. And that's the kind of people I'm looking to work with too. They may have had little to no previous coaching, but the safety and trust that they feel with the person, it's a vibe thing, right? It's a vibe thing. It wasn't about information. It was about vibe and timing, right? And for you, with your program, I have a background in, I'm a writer as my background, and I'm a storyteller. I also do leadership coaching, and I teach like C-level executives how to tell stories. But so it appealed to me. It was like, this is something, right? And it's also as old as humankind. People respond not to information and not to facts, but to the intangibles, to your energy and your story that is relatable on a very human emotional level,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So you were speaking already to kind of preaching to the choir. I was like, oh yeah, I get this. And it helped me focus for someone who has the indecision that I have, and this kind of, right, every time I get kind of in a focus, there's part of me that wants to buck and break out. But I've understood the discipline
Mhm.
of having a coach in my corner. I'm
Mhm.
like, great, I have a coach who's on my side, right? Who's organic and story. So there's not a lot of fancy, and I'm big. Like I said, I can make a party in a small room. So I really like the simplicity of the approach, and it's something I see so many people thrashing about right now. Like, right, someone is like trying to draw an arrow on their website and has hired somebody to draw the arrow on the website because that's what's going to make the final. I mean, and all due respect, everyone's got to have their own path, however it is. I have some words on a website somewhere. I have it.
Yeah.
They're there somewhere at some point. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of text that I wrote one night. I was like, just here's something, book a call. I don't
Yeah.
think any calls have come through there. I don't even know if anyone's going there, and it's not keeping me up at night. And I did it myself,
Yeah.
like out of a box website, kind of like, here's a picture of me and here's some text, and I don't even know if it actually clearly describes what I do right now. All
Yeah.
this to say, the power of personal storytelling
Mhm.
on platforms that are already available. And I did mine in Word, so it wasn't even like I was doing video.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. You weren't even doing live streams at that point. You were just, it
No,
was written
I
posts.
mean, I have a group, and I've been doing live streams in there, but they're not about, right. I switched topics a few times, but the ones that really got me, right, the first client booking that I got was through a Word post. So the fact that the energy can come through and the truth can come through words on a page, on a post, on a platform that is already out there, that
Mhm.
already has eyeballs on it. You're not trying to redirect traffic of, like, people are so frazzled anyways, right? And you're trying to get them to see your website here or your little thing there, or your little thing. Go to where the people are and then just shine a really bright light. It's like a bat signal for the right bats.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. So for you, yeah, I feel like for you, yeah, and you told me you're like, when you told me that you signed these clients, you're like, I have no website, I have no email list, I have just like bare bones. All truly all you did
For
was
bare bones.
bare bones, bare bones.
I
Just
love bare bones. I'm a punk musician. Like, of course, I love bare bones. We want to make it work with nearly nothing at all. And
yeah.
that's the fun of it. It's like, you don't need much at all, because that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
People get so caught up in that stuff. And usually that's a sign, it's also a sign of fear. For some people, their fear manifests like that. For me, it was indecision. For some people, it's like stuff overwhelmed. They get caught in the tangibles, right? My website's got to be perfect. I'm going to launch it like in 6 months before
Mhm.
I can even do anything. I'm like, that's 6 months of income you're losing. And people that you can help, like that's 6 months of people in deep pain waiting just for you.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And that's a huge part of my messaging that I am very intentional on spreading is that you don't need the bells and whistles.
Mm-mm.
To sign those, if it's a coach in your shoes that's brand new program, you don't need the bells and whistles, you know, to sign those first few clients. You really, truly don't. Um, that's the power of the story, you know. So I love your story and how this all worked for you because perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, so the whole result of you signing those first two clients in those 48 hours, has that affected your life in any other way or the work we've done so far? Do you feel like that has manifested or affected any other part of your life?
I mean, definitely, it's given me the confidence, right? When we got on the phone, before I signed up with your program, one of the things you identified is that, and again, I'm a courageous, confident person, but even a courageous, confident person doing a new thing can experience lack of courage and lack of confidence. And what that gave me was the momentum and the confidence,
Mhm.
and also put a fire under my butt. It was like, all right, now I have
Yeah.
people to serve,
Yeah.
right? I better go like finish making my course. So
Yeah.
all this to say, also
Yeah.
one of the brilliant things I learned, it's like I have the bones of the course laid out and the first few modules. I knew what I wanted to do and I know the journey I want to take them through, right? It's like having your, what's the equivalent for a book, I guess, would be like a proof. I don't know. It's like a
Manuscript.
structure. Yeah, you have the
Yeah.
manuscript, right? So I have the manuscript. I know all the chapters and the way I want the journey to go. But I do not need to like cross every T and dot every I on like page 369
Yeah.
before I sell the program, because it's going to evolve. And the clients help me do that as I see what things I might have left out, what kind of questions they're asking that I might not have thought of, right? So it's made it real for me
Yeah.
very quickly. And that's helped me believe in myself even more. And that self belief, that's really what people are buying
Yeah. Yeah.
from you and
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
People who are lacking belief in themselves are coming to people like you and me saying, I want the confidence and the self belief that you have. What do I need to do to get there?
Yeah.
So that's what it's given me.
Yeah. That's amazing. And that's a great reminder for me. It's very easy as coaches, regardless of what industry you're in. I see my clients do this. I still do this. I mean, it's easy to get caught in the what are the deliverables of my offer? What is this? What is that? But what you're selling at the end of the day, it's either going to be confidence, it's clarity, it's happiness. That's what we're really selling at the end of the day. So thank you for reminding me of that. And we know these things on a regular, on a normal basis. We know, but we forget, and we get really into the nitty gritty, and that's not what people are buying. It's absolutely true though. Every single client of mine, every single student, it always comes down to, now I'm confident. Now I know how to market myself. I know how to put myself out there in a way that feels authentic and genuine. And I'm like, oh, great, cool. So
But we don't know that necessarily coming in. So
yeah,
if you had, like, if you were the doctor and I'm the patient, and if you had said, well, right, or if your messaging up front was like, do you lack confidence in, like, right, yours was about story,
yeah,
and that's what resonated with me. So you've got to be able to resonate with me at my pain where I'm at, even if you know, right, what I need. I don't need to know what I need.
yeah,
I just need to
yeah,
know first that you get me,
yeah,
that you get my pain.
yeah,
And this is in the other program that I had, um, that I did as well, which is a fantastic community, and it's like super deep. Like basically, it's like business coaching is the front for like deep spiritual and personal development, which is really all I'm interested in, and that's what I lead people through as well. Same deal, that if you can speak to their pain,
yeah,
right? They don't want to hear that, hey, here's an aspirin. I sell aspirin. Do you want some aspirin? They're like, I don't know. Everything hurts. Where does it hurt? I don't know. I just feel shitty,
yeah,
right? They're not even able to articulate their pain.
yeah,
So if you as a coach can articulate my pain better than me myself, I'm in.
yeah,
And then you can tell me what I need,
yeah,
and what ultimately I can come out and say, oh, it was a confidence issue. It was an indecision issue. I needed momentum, a fire under my butt, and
yeah,
some accountability.
yeah.
I knew I needed accountability and structure.
Mhm.
And I have to say, for you, for your program, the fact that it's a year, like I've never signed up for anything for like a year, even the gym. I'm like, month to month only, please. But feeling good enough to commit, this was a commitment to myself, right? This is an investment I've made into myself for a year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And for
I'm
you,
sticking with this for a year, at
yeah,
least.
yeah,
But to start, right? Like, so that feel, the first time was like, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this and try this, but then you go back to your like normal life.
yeah,
But now the will and the confidence to commit,
yeah.
right? That's what I got from you as well. And that's what I'm getting from this program. It's like, you're in, and I told I also have a business manager. I hired a business manager before I even had my first client. This was also another piece of genius advice I got from my other program. She's like, hire the help even before you think you can afford it or need it. And
Absolutely.
it made it real. So all these things make it real.
Mm-hmm.
When we're going through like a major shift in our life,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't have a background in like having been an entrepreneur my whole life. I didn't start when I was 12. I know there's some stories where like, and then I was selling lemonade like hard on the street, and I knew I always wanted to do this. And I was like, I don't know what I've always wanted to do. There's people who know. I'm not one of them. I've always kind of gone with the flow and followed my heart, but something changed in me. And this will also evolve. I'm not going to do this forever. So if you have rage and you want to get it now, what's going on? It's going to evolve.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the beautiful thing with you came in and you knew what you wanted. You knew, I mean, you knew what you wanted. You wanted your offer to be. And a huge thing that I preach as well is that we get to evolve with our brands, with our offers. So as long as you come in, you come to me, you know what you want to sell, or maybe you're already selling it a little bit. Cool. Let's get you selling more of that. Let's get that, more clients for that. But if you decide you want to roll out something new in our year's time working together, cool, I'll support you in doing that. But we're not married to, I hear this a lot from newer coaches. They're like, I don't know if I want to do one-to-one right now or a group program. And I'm like, start with one. We'll start with one. Let's get you some clients for that one. And then we have a year together. Yeah, exactly. I just love what you're saying. Yeah, it's spot on.
And I think the commitment is really helpful for me because as someone who's like, I've gone from thing to thing,
Right.
and every time I've hit a wall, because I'm really good at starting anew, which is difficult for a lot of people, but it's been my Achilles heel as well, right? Every time I hit a wall, I'm like, well, I could just turn this way and start this new thing. And I've reached a point in my life where I am ready to learn how to go through walls, right? To get up when I fall down, right? And not learn how to do a new dance that's on the ground. I want to learn how to get up and go through.
Yeah.
And I've just reached that point in my life where I've done the other thing enough. So for me, the commitment feels really good. Actually, it doesn't feel bind, like handcuffs for life at all. Because I know it's still my decision,
Yeah.
but it's a
Yeah.
commitment to me. I want to see how far I can go with this one thing. Same as with everything, right? In a small space with a few things, what can you do with this? So I want to see. I've challenged myself. I want to see how far can I go with this. I am so curious.
Yeah.
If I stick with it, it's not going to get boring. Everything
Yeah.
everything can change and evolve.
Yep. And that's it. And that is the trait of all my most successful clients and students over the past several years is they're willing to stick with it, at least one thing for a minute, right? Stick
Mm-hmm.
with it. They're willing to stick with it. They're willing to go all in. And that's exactly what you did. So credit to you, kudos to you, kudos to us. But truly,
Thank
that is,
you.
yeah. Yeah, it's a given. I know, and you probably know this with your ideal clients, but my ideal client is you to a T because you came in gung ho, ready to go. You did the work and you got the results. So it's pretty straightforward. I always say, if you do the work, expect these things to happen. So you did.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm okay with it. Not it's not. So I do want to say this. Like anyone who has like quick and early wins.
mhm,
Do you know the book The Big Leap? By the way, I read this many years ago. It's a fantastic book. It's a hideous cover, one of these like 80s self-help looking covers. So don't judge this book by its cover, but the contents are amazing, by Gay Hendricks. And it is about this psychological process that we have happen every time we go through a big expansion, like imagine like a rubber band, right?
mhm,
There's a natural contraction right after it.
mhm,
And
mhm.
oftentimes we let ourselves get thrown by that contraction because we're not expecting it. We think we're just going to keep going, like, oh, I had this win in 48 hours. So every 48 hours, I got to get 2 new clients. And we put all this pressure on ourselves. Or then there's a few posts that don't quite, right, get the same result. It doesn't mean no one's listening. It doesn't mean it's not working. And that's where I'm like, all right, we're just going through like, and this is the pattern, right? Growth and a little bit of contraction, and growth and a little contraction. And there's a sense of safety in that. I mean, the muscles work the same way. They need a little time,
Yeah.
and then they need to know it's safe, and then a little contraction, and that's how we stretch.
Yeah.
So just for anyone who might have these wins happen, I wanted to just say that it's okay when it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't mean it's not happening. We just need a broader view. We need more n equals to not just 1 or 48 hours. Right?
Yeah. And oftentimes what happens for my clients is they'll have these quick wins, especially if they're sharing their stories for the first time. Like, this is what happens. I expect these things to happen. And when they do, I celebrate and I'm like, it's amazing. Yay. You got a bunch of clients, but keep the momentum going and know exactly what you just said. People are watching. People are always listening. There's always people out there right now that need to hear your stories, that want to hear. Don't pay attention to the vanity metrics. Keep showing up. Like, we'll probably do an updated interview in, like, I don't know, 3 months time, and you'll be making like 10K months, and like it'll all be there. But it starts with these small wins, and then from there you just keep the momentum going. And yeah, so I'm super excited. I'm super excited for you. But I'm also not surprised because you did the work and you came in and you did it. So yeah. So my final question for you, Rayna, would be, what would you tell somebody who is considering joining the program?
I would say, well, I'm not the kind to say, well, just do it no matter what. Like the right person, right? You've got to understand that you are betting on yourself. The money that you're putting down for this program is a bet and a commitment you're making to yourself. So don't do it for like frivolously. It can be fun. It is fun. But I'm making a difference between fun and frivolous. If you're doing it and then not showing up and do the work, I would say don't. If you're going to show up and do the work, because this is for this, I'm doing this for me. So you got to be crystal clear. If you're doing this, you're going to stick with it. You've got a year of support, right? I'm going to be there. Like, if you join, I'll be on the calls. Lauren will be on the calls, right? So you get to meet cool people, other people who can lift each other up. I love, Lauren, how you're like militant about celebrating. You're like, you've got to celebrate. Like earlier today, right? You like chastise something like, what? Wait a second. Where is the celebration?
Yeah, I am. I'm huge on celebrations, especially
Love it.
especially a lot of my clients who come to the program, they're newer coaches, and that means something different for everybody. But they've either signed a few clients before, they're just working on that consistency, or brand new program, brand new offer, haven't signed clients yet, and then they do what you do. So either way, though, you've got to celebrate. That's why, yes, I'm a huge. If whoever's watching this, if you come into the program, I will tell you to celebrate all the small wins, all the calls you book, the first client, the second client, like the first 10K month, whatever. Like, you got to celebrate all of it. So, Rayna gets that. Rayna, clearly, Rayna, you celebrate. Look at your background.
Look at this. Always, always. Any excuse for a party, because I mean, we have been given one life. This flesh container that I'm in, it's all I've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that is with me from the moment, the first breath I take to my last, is this container.
Yeah.
And if I am not celebrating the crap out of that all the time, as much as I can, there was a point I could not even think about doing that in my life. And I consider myself to be a joyful person inherently. And to have that almost taken away from me makes me value it so much more.
Yeah.
So like the people I look to work with, I'm like, we're going to make you all party people. And it can be whatever kind of party. It can be introvert. I think of myself as an introvert also. No one believes me when I say it, but I'm like, I am. Anyway, those labels are, anyway, the labels they don't do justice to like the richness of the human experience, right? I like depth and I like closeness and I love really intimate relationships where we can talk about real stuff and open up and then have a good laugh and laugh at ourselves and laugh at each other, right? Do silly things for each other. I send people all kinds of weird stuff in the mail, or I send silly pictures, or like, right? It's just to live lightly when you've seen the kind of heaviness that I have lived through. You value the celebration, and you know what it means that you take your life seriously in the way of like, so I take my joy very seriously.
Say, so do I. You've seen that, so do I. And that,
Yeah.
what I think what Rayna's saying here, what we're both saying here is the doors are open and welcome for you to come into this container, into this program, if you're okay with having fun, you're okay with doing a lot of celebrations, you are ready to take your stories and use them for good. And yes, share the dark parts, but more so share the hope and put that in front of the right people and attract them to you, you know. That's all we do.
And I love that there's no bells and whistles, like there's no complicated systems and funnels and right. So for anyone who's been through that journey and is overwhelmed by like technology and funnels and building giant websites and saying I got to have a membership site and thinking you have to solve all of that imaginary stuff up front, I think that's another person for whom this would be great. It's super simple.
Yeah.
In fact, it's so simple that people I think sometimes have a hard time believing, wait, that's all I have to do. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I hear that. Yeah, yeah, totally. I hear that on my calls. They're like,
wait, just change, just do just that.
yeah, yeah.
No, it's hard to believe.
Well, and you know, I wouldn't believe that it's possible unless I had lived through it myself. So it's the same thing we were talking about earlier, where yes, if you're a new coach, if you have a high ticket offer, like you could go the route right away with, you know, I don't know, learning WordPress and building website and then building funnels and then learning ads and then doing cold outreach and then like all this stuff out of the gate.
Oh, it's making me like, oh.
Exactly. Like
When I get to that point, I will have enough to hire someone to do that. Because
yeah,
I know at some point, if I want to scale,
yeah,
right, I will come to that point,
yep.
but I don't have to do it. I may never have to do this.
No, and that's the thing is thank you for saying that. This is really for that coach that wants a simple, effective way. That's it. Simple, like simplicity and effectiveness is the key here. And Rayna, you are a walking example of that. So thank you for sharing your story of
Absolutely. Thank you. This has
yeah.
been a pleasure. I'm
Yes.
so excited.
I know. We're gonna keep
Yay.
going.
So I'm really looking forward to this year with you and anyone who's watching this. If you join and get to meet the both of us, come on in, man. It's fun.
We're a lot of fun. We're gonna be having fun with or without you. So I'm just kidding. So come join. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Rayna, truly for sharing your story. And I'm so excited for you. This is only the beginning. So let's
Yep.
go.
Onwards and upwards. Thank you so much.